I'm Josh Snyder. You're watching Thoughtful Discussions, and I'm here with
Clinton Clegg,
Sean McGregor,
and Mike Minda
of the band the Commonheart.
Awesome. And how many members do you have in the band?
Currently, we're at 9 members with a 10th one in our hearts.
Okay.
I can explain that a little later.
Can't wait to hear. And so, what's going on right now with the band?
Right now, we have been touring the country for the past 6 months,
Yep.
anywhere from Seattle to Dallas to New Orleans to Montreal. And we've been seeing a lot and getting the name out there and just putting the miles on the van.
Cool.
It's been good.
This the first time you've gone around the country?
This is the first time.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think about it? Like, one takeaway.
Wyoming is the most beautiful place in the world.
Awesome.
in the middle part of the country looks like Ohio. The whole thing looks like Ohio.
Very true. Very true. A big takeaway for me would be the Pacific Northwest was, there wasn't much talking. There was a lot of staring, and it was pretty righteous. I got to say that was a part of the country that was special. But it's been a really good experience this year, just getting to see kind of everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How are you able to go on tour? Like what do you have supporting you to do that?
So everybody in the band has a story.
Yep.
Mine is I have a pretty awesome wife, first of all,
Yep.
and secondly, a really supportive work environment.
Cool.
I have a part-time setup where they let me make my own schedule and are really flexible and supportive of the band and my mission. So I'm really fortunate with that situation. Sean here, I'll let him talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, mine starts the same with a incredibly understanding and forgiving wife.
Yeah.
I actually back in last November opened my own drum store in McKees Rocks called Pittsburgh Drum Exchange, and that's given me a little freedom from my my previous life professionally, and obviously it's a lot of work still, but the ability to kind of have a little more forgiving schedule in terms of writing your own time away from the business has been obviously a godsend. So
Awesome.
yeah.
And my story in the band starts with Sean here being my boss at Guitar Center. He hired me before he opened his drum shop.
Nice.
And so that was super flexible with the band because he wanted me to be there for the band. So he let me write my own schedule at Guitar Center. And then he left, and now they've been kind of having to keep up with that because the precedent has been set. So they've been awesome and super supportive as well.
Cool. So you're still at Guitar Center?
Yeah, still at Guitar Center.
Gotcha. So you're like competitors a little bit.
Yeah.
Ish. We only sell drums and he sells guitars, so we're good. Yeah,
Fair.
we're good. Yeah.
All right. All right.
But Guitar Center has been supporting the band for years.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Indirectly and against their wishes, they've been supporting the band for years.
This
Yes.
podcast is sponsored by Guitar Center.
That'd probably be good for you.
Yeah.
I wish. They're welcome to.
Yeah.
They'd like to.
Yeah. Pittsburgh Drum Exchange first, though.
Yeah, definitely. So, real quick, give that a little plug.
So Pittsburgh Drum Exchange is this little shop that we started in McKees Rocks on the second floor of Hollywood Music, which if you've been around Pittsburgh music for a while, it's where Johnny B. Good's used to be.
Okay.
It was kind of started as a little brainchild of myself, Lou Ross, who's an amazing drum teacher, drum builder, drum repairman, just all around kind of, and great player in his own right. And lastly, Dave Throckmorton, who's, if you've Throck's a force of nature on the drums. He's toured with Maynard Ferguson, and he's unbelievable, but his drum gear knowledge is unbelievable as well. And the three of us have been friends for a while, and we, one day I talked to Throck a while about opening a shop, and then he talked to Lou, and then one day it was like, all right, are we going to do this or are we not? And so we did, and the opportunity presented itself at Hollywood, and it's been really cool. We like to think we're a drum shop for guys who play and kind of there's a certain amount of credibility. All three of us are playing professional drummers, so
Right.
it's cool. I mean, we're small now, but we're getting in a lot of cool gear, and it's been a lot of fun. About 8 months in the making. Been open for about 8 months now. Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So, if I have never heard of the Commonheart, what would you tell me about it to describe to someone that has never listened, has no idea what they're getting themselves into?
I would say, we use the term Moroccan soul band. I've heard the term Salvation soul and Salvation rock. We're a band. We're a big old band with horns and backup singers, but above all of that, we really come with a very positive message.
Yeah.
About looking out for your neighbor, looking out for your community, being a positive person in the world, and our music follows up with that. And it's the shows are energy filled and emotional.
Gotcha.
And if you need an uplift or you need just to hear some good music, it's worth the attendance. And I know I'm biased, but
Yeah, but I'll vouch for you though.
yeah.
Okay.
Another band member will vouch for me.
I also agree.
Awesome. Quick plug, where can we find info, like website, social media, all that stuff?
Yeah, everything is through the website. So it's thecommonheart.com.
Okay.
You're going to find our music. You're going to find our online store.
Cool.
Where we have
Where they have the softest t-shirts that you can buy.
the softest T-shirts in the world. That is true. And our vinyl record and our CDs and all that stuff's there.
Cool.
And we're on all the sexy platforms, all the fun arguing platforms as they've become as well. You can find us on there.
I love it. That's hilarious.
It doesn't mean farmers only.
Oh, yeah. That's good. So if you guys have any shows coming up?
July 14th, we're actually fairly close to home. We're doing a community event in Irwin called Gig on Main.
Okay.
And then the 21st, we are at something called Peach Music Festival. It's in Scranton, PA.
Cool.
And we're really excited about that. It's a great festival with a lot of heavy players and a big reputation.
Cool. Have you done that one before?
No. Tell them a little bit about Peach.
Peach is kind of a derivative of the Allman Brothers family.
Okay.
So anybody who has any kind of tie to the Allman Brothers, so whether it be Warren Haynes, Derek Trucks, Jamo, the original drummer, Marcus King, who's tied in with Warren Haynes, Devin Allman, and literally any derivative of anything Allman Brothers
Gotcha.
is surrounding Peach Festival, and
Cool.
Even. It branches into like the jam music scene. Like a lot of the heavy hitters in the funk and jam scene will be there. Even a Little Feat reunion is going to be going on this year. That same night we're there. So, myself and Mike probably in particular are probably pretty wild about that. It's one of my favorite bands. Period.
All of Waiting for Columbus, which is
What?
their live record.
It's a must listen.
All right.
So Peach is a pretty big deal. And aside from the fact that it's a big festival, it's big because there's a lot of influence, especially from our band, on that bill. All of us kind of went through our huge Allman Brothers phase, our Little Feat phase, or Derek Trucks, and we still worship Derek Trucks, all the time. But
Right.
it's a big festival for us, and we're really excited about it.
Cool.
Yeah, as a younger band, it's going to be a super Big Brother situation for us.
Right.
We're gonna get
A whole lot of listening going on.
a whole lot of listening for sure. Yeah.
So what's the biggest crowd you guys have played for so far? The whole band, not because I know you did something we'll talk about in a second.
I would probably recently the Jack White Bunbury thing.
Bunbury was huge.
Yeah, Bunbury.
Yeah,
Probably the biggest
we
one.
were on just a few weeks ago, June 3rd. We were in Bunbury in Cincinnati, Ohio,
Yeah.
and it was us, Dropkick Murphys, Jack White.
Nice.
And that we had to have at the time of our set, there's probably like close to 10,000, and by the time Jack got on, there was 20.
Wow.
It was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that feel? There's obviously a little bit of a difference between playing for a few hundred people versus.
I will say that crowd in Cincy, Clinton came out and saluted the crowd, and they cheered for him. They didn't know who the heck he was.
Right.
They were just so excited. They're like, yeah. They were like ready for us to rock, and then
Yeah.
instantly, that invigorates you.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a performer, you're instantly ready to just put on a great show because you can tell that they're ready to be an audience for one.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So that one went really great.
Awesome.
There's like a cliche line that goes around that the jump from 10 people to 100 people is like the most like dramatic
Right.
change in audience size that you'll like experience, because after that it's just like you get into a crowd. I'd say that's kind of bullshit, because when when there is a ton of people, you're like, oh my god, there's a ton of people. You know, and that Bunbury gig was one of the first times I've ever been like, wow, I can't believe how many people are here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's funny when we are fortunate enough to get on a gig like that.
Yeah.
I think about the gigs where I played to nobody
Yeah.
and made $11 at the door,
Right.
and then but that just reinforces the smile. You're like, all right, I know why I'm doing this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's amazing. So, and you had an experience a little bit bigger than that. You were able to play for the national anthem, right?
It was intense. 75,000.
75,000 people.
Arguably
for
the
Pittsburgh Steelers.
biggest Steeler game of the year,
Yeah.
and we lost. God damn it.
With an asterisk. They lost. You're not part of the team. Still real to me, damn it.
What was that experience like? I mean,
it was intense. It came on really short notice. The story of how it happened is actually, it's pretty cool. I was in the car with my wife coming home from work, and my phone rang.
Yeah.
And I couldn't take the call, but I listened to the voicemail in the car, and it was this guy from the Steelers. He was like, hey, I worked with him at an event, a charity event earlier that year. He's like, hey, for these really big games, we don't book the anthem until a couple weeks out because we want it to be, really like relevant to what's going on in the city, and we want to keep this one super Pittsburgh, and the band's been doing well, so would you come down and sing it?
Yeah.
And on the voicemail, and I'm just like, my wife and I look at each other like, holy shit, yeah. So I call him back, and it all works out.
yeah.
2 weeks leading up were the biggest stress. The day of, it was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
The 2 days out, you're like, I'm really nervous.
Right.
But when I stepped on the field, did a sound check, you just kind of soak it in. And it was an honor. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, just like, the big deal points for me was like not only the moment itself, but calling my dad,
Yeah.
calling my mom,
Right.
I had a couple of my bandmates come, and a couple of the girls came and sang. That we did a choral arrangement, and they building it with them, and sharing that experience with them.
Right.
Was all like the real special moments of it.
Awesome.
But I ain't gonna lie, 75,000, that was pretty intense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing.
And to prove the point.
Yeah.
Past 1,000, it's all the same. No, it's
No.
not. No, it's not.
It was-
You would do it again
I would love
in
to
a
do it
heartbeat?
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hear me out there, Steeler Nation? Let's go.
Penguins too.
Give me another chance. I want to bring home a win. Is what I really want to do.
Right. No, that's,
Can't go
that's
down like
important.
that.
Yeah.
You gotta up that record.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Exactly. So how did you guys get your start?
So
How long have you been a band?
we've been a band for
3 years.
no 4 over 4 2014.
I've been in the band.
Well, it'll be 4 years this September.
Right, 4 years of September. It started with Sean and I.
Mm-hmm.
We worked with a few folks and kind of grew into some other folks.
Yeah.
And then we invited some horns on a gig, and they stuck around. We invited some singers on a gig. They stuck around.
Cool.
Next thing I know, the van was full. So it happened kind of quickly, but it happened in a cool way. They weren't added because we had to, but once they were there, it just sounded like the kind of band we really wanted to be.
Yeah.
Hitting like that retro soul vibe with the horns, and then additional vocals on the track, and just having a big kind of family soul band feel is something that I really wanted, and we got there, and everybody, thankfully and fortunately, everybody was just on board.
Yeah.
Really super on board.
Awesome. So this record is your first record?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grown is our first record. It came out in 2016, November 2016. And we have our second record in the can, and it'll be coming out this fall.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything exciting on that? I mean, obviously it's the record, but anything That's right.
So this record's really interesting. The new one, when I speak of the new one that's going to be released in the fall,
Yeah.
is really interesting for me. One, because it's an evolution of the first.
Right.
But the interesting part about the first one was that a lot of those tunes were written before the band kind of took its shape,
Okay.
in terms of like, maybe a tune like Cannonball was written when it was just a 5-piece band. We had drums, keys, bass, guitar, and him.
Right.
So the horn parts and the vocal parts were just added in on top of it, right?
Okay,
And
right.
and it's cool, it works.
Yeah.
But this album was written with
The
the
whole
full artillery
Got it.
in mind, like,
it.
and we did the other record took a long time. It was kind of drawn out recording process.
Yeah.
You go track drums and the bass would go in after, and
Right.
it's like weeks apart. And this one we took a completely different route. We just went to a studio in New Jersey, and we just tracked the whole thing in 5 days.
Wow.
Tracked it live. We were all looking at each other, kind of living there, yeah.
Yeah.
And really organically. I mean, like, we work with a great producer, a fellow Pittsburgher, Jeremy McDonald.
Cool.
He would just go in and be like, cool, play it like you've been playing it, cool.
Yeah.
And then we'd go back and be like, is that what we want to do? And whether it was yes or no,
Yeah.
it was really kind of like it tested our mettle a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of an enriching experience, but it was tough. It was, but I'm really proud of the product that came out of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember one day where we got there at 8 in the morning and left at 1 the following morning.
Yeah.
So it was like 16 or 17 hours.
Easy.
We were just going down the street to a little place for lunch and coffee, just like as we were recording.
Yeah.
I think it was like the hardest thing I ever had to do because we're all in the same space for like longer than your typical, like twice your typical work day,
Right.
focusing on the same thing all day long. Your brain was just zapped at the end of that. And then you got to go back in there at 10 the
Right.
next day or whatever.
Right.
But it was also the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. Well, one of them, just, it turned out great. I think we're all really stoked with how it's come out.
Yeah, I agree. On that takes thing, I think I did. We're singing them live every time too. I sang from 8 in the morning till 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
I think I did 120 takes of tunes.
A lot of water.
A lot of bourbon.
There's a real highlight for me, and maybe it'll get released on a B-side somewhere, but we take a run at a particular tune, and it sounds good, but you hear, like, the mics are still on, and Clinton goes, that one sounded like we need pizza. And that, like, it was like everybody was, like, really on the end of their rope, and we were just like, that one sounded like we need beers and pizza. It was like, all right.
That was
like,
the right call.
yeah, it was, and then we came back in and started attacking it again,
Awesome.
So.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Real quick. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sweet. I wasn't sure how close we were getting. We'll cut that part out.
That's all good.
So what else do you have? Where do you see the band in the future? You're hoping next 1, 3, 5 years.
So the kind of the growing up of the band, we were really fortunate in November. We sold out our record release party at Mr. Small's, and that's
Yes.
when we were really fortunate.
I saw that video.
Yeah, it was a blast, and that propelled us into a situation where we got some professional help. We got a manager.
Cool.
We got an agent, and that's been kind of put us on the track that we're on.
Yeah.
And the goal in the immediate year is release this record, continue, a national exposure tour, but also look for, another supporting tour to really get in front of more people.
Cool.
And just continue to build and grow, and probably in the background of that, thinking 1 to 2, 3 years down the road, making another record, and the goal is to create a sustainable life for all 10 of us, including our crew,
Yeah.
and but travel the country playing music. That's
Awesome.
the real dream.
Yeah.
And it's not. We all kind of know it's years of work. It's not always about the cover of the Rolling Stone, but you can, if you have a really good product and sound and team,
Mm-hmm.
you can create a sustainable life, and I mean, a reasonable salary.
Yeah.
But you're gone a lot. It's hard on your loved ones. It's hard to have a family.
Yeah.
But if you do the work and take the time and you have the support like a lot of us have, it's possible. That's the real goal and dream, to be sustainable.
Awesome.
I think that's my favorite word.
Yeah. Sustainability.
Yeah.
That's important. What advice would you give to someone that is considering, maybe they're starting out, whether they're interested in doing a career in music, or they're a lot of the people that I'm trying to reach are maybe starting out as entrepreneurs, and being in a band does share a lot of the same mentalities and work ethic as entrepreneurship.
I agree.
So what would you tell someone that's just starting out that kind of sets you apart, and what you've noticed makes you different from that's helped and kind of leveled you up?
You want to go, Sean?
Yeah, sure. I listen to a lot of this Tim Ferriss type stuff, and the one quote that comes up with all those dudes, and I really believe it, and whether it's in running my own business or the band, and you kind of have to fall in love with the process, and you kind of have to fall in love with. You have to be doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
If when we do gigs, like it's like you're traveling, you're in the van for way longer than you want to be, but you go play a short show and then you're back in the van. If you don't love the struggle of that on some level, or you don't love if you're not in love with every aspect of it, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that as in like a manufacture it, but just know that you got to be in it for the right reason. And if you're trying to join a band or start your own small business to get rich, you're probably in. No. Yeah, you probably should like get hit by a mail car or something like that. And you'll get rich faster. But like it's just, I think that for me, it's like, you gotta love the process. You gotta be ready to do the work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because you can't skip it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll come back on you one way or the other.
Yeah, to expand on that, I think as corny as it sounds, like hard work really is the key to it. I remember when I was growing up through high school, I thought, I want to be a professional musician.
Yeah.
And towards the end of high school, and then I ended up going to community college, I kind of moved away from that.
Yeah.
Because I thought that it wasn't going to be possible. Because I thought, you have to know the right people, or, I'm looking at all these insane celebrities and they just met the right person, it worked out for them, and I don't want to bank my life on that. But then I met the people in the band that I'm in right now, and they've really opened my eyes, Clinton especially, that hard work goes all the way, and you just have to really want it. And kind of expanding on Sean's point, enjoying the process and realizing your end game goes a long way.
Awesome.
So it sounds corny, but it's actually the truth. That's why everyone says it.
Absolutely.
And back to the top of your question, if you're young and you're starting out and you're thinking about doing this, by no means are we there yet, or but at the same time, what I took away from the early stages was I made it a point to really get involved in the community. Get involved with the musical community. And be at open stages, meet other people, make sure that people who are around you that you like them, because you're going to be around them a lot. And just grow and network and be appreciative and be a contributing member to your musical community. It starts local, and steps will come and will be presented to you with hard work, like they were saying. So if I'm a young guy and I want to go down that path, I'm looking to make a lot of friends. Get into those circles, because there's a lot of young musicians out there that want to and they can all learn from each other, and that's that was what kind of helped me.
And the other thing, like what Clinton said, you realize that whether it's a business or the band, that success is almost like a death of 1,000 cuts. You never know what that one thing that's going to be the thing that happens for you. And I mean, and for it's like for instance, it's like when we put this band together, it's like I've maybe played one gig with one of the people who ended up being in the band, but I had a really good experience with them.
Right.
And then 3 years later, we're looking for a saxophone player, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I did this gig with Abby once. She was amazing. It was like kind of some walk-on gig that just kind of sleepy thing, but like we had such a good experience. You just never really. You have to treat every opportunity like it could be something, but not oversell it. Like you can't just be like, oh, I need to drop my entire life to go play this weird open mic at Iron Lung or whatever it is.
Just appreciate
the
chances you do have.
Correct. Because you never know. Because I mean, you just got to be. And that comes back to trusting the process. Because if you are coming into a situation where you're like, oh, it's just some stupid gig, this isn't going to get me anything. Well, yeah, if you treat it like that, it's never going to. You're right.
Absolutely.
So it's like you just got to fall in love with what you're doing. And then you gotta believe it, because I think everybody will see right through it if you don't.
Absolutely.
Like, how about that one time we were playing in Market Square, playing to like nobody, literally nobody, and I look out. No, it was pretty cool.
It alludes to the
It's
point
exactly
pretty well,
it, because we're playing to like nobody at 12:30 in the afternoon in Market Square. Just kind of whatever.
But the thing is, we're still playing. Like, we're still doing our thing. Like,
Oh yeah, still enjoying playing with each other. And I look out, and the guitarist from Def Leppard, Phil Collin, is out there, and I knew it was him. Sean didn't believe me, and he came up after the gig and complimented us and talked with us. But you never know who's out there listening. Even if it's 10 people, that there might be one person out there who is important and likes your sound, and you just got to treat every opportunity like it's a great opportunity.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate you all so much for being on. This is all the time we have for tonight. I hope we can do another episode at some point.
I'm into it. We'll be back for episode 2.
Yeah, deep and dark on the next one.
Stay tuned, and definitely check them out.
Thank y'all so much. TheCommonHeart.com.
There it is. Thank you. Have a good night.